Good morning, dear students. Today we will discuss about the first chapter that is in your commerce syllabus. It is classification of human activities, economic and non-economic. So this chapter will basically help us to understand that what type of human activities form a part of commerce. As I have explained you in the previous two videos in commerce as well as in accounts, that both these subjects deal with all those transactions or activities that are somehow related to money. It means that if we are undertaking any charitable activity or activity that is just meant for personal or psychological satisfaction, it will not be a part of commerce or accountancy. So this chapter number 1, will make us understand the various types of human activities and those types of activities which will be a part of commerce and those activities which will not be a part of commerce. So as the name of the chapter itself is telling that activities are economic and non-economic. So only economic activities will be a part of the study of commerce and non-economic activities will not be a part of study of commerce. So let us understand these things in detail. So it is written the meaning of human activities. So there are various activities that we all undertake, but all the activities that we perform are not meant for earning money or earning profit or creating wealth. So there are so many activities that human beings undertake to satisfy human wants. We have a variety of wants, and to satisfy these wants we undertake so many activities. Some activities are like working in an office or factory or a shop. It produces economic benefits. Economic benefits means that when you are working in an office or a factory or a shop, you are getting paid for it, or you are earning some money, you are earning some profit, or you are creating some wealth. But at the same time, there are so many other activities which do not result in the creation of any profit or wealth or money. For example, we pray, we play, we sleep, we are maybe fond of singing, so we are singing. So there are various activities that we undertake only for our pleasure, only for our personal happiness or psychological satisfaction. So the main characteristics of activities are that human activities are activities which can be undertaken only by human beings. That means men, women and children. They involve human efforts. So I am sure these are very simple things and everybody will be able to understand this, that human activities are undertaken by human beings. And they are undertaken to satisfy human wants which are unlimited. So we have unlimited desires, we have unlimited wants, and to satisfy those unlimited wants we undertake so many activities. And they continue throughout life. They have a very wide range and they are performed both for earning money as well as for obtaining personal satisfaction. Like in one of the videos I told you that if a nurse is working in a hospital, she is getting paid for it, she is getting a salary. But if the same nurse is looking after her ill mother, so she is not getting paid for it. So in both the cases she is performing same activity, but at one place she is getting paid, but at her home she is not getting paid. So at one place she is doing it for earning money, but at her home she is doing it for her personal satisfaction. So we undertake so many activities, but all activities do not give us profit or money or wealth. We perform so many activities just for our personal satisfaction, psychological satisfaction, or some social obligation. Maybe you are going on a street and you help an elderly person or an old woman cross the road. So you are not getting paid for it. You will not ask some fees for this act of generosity. So there are so many things that we do out of an act of generosity or love for somebody or care or compassion or patriotism, but we do not expect any payment, nor we are going to get any payment, obviously. So the activities are broadly classified into two categories, economic and non-economic, as it is written. Human activities are having two dimensions, economic and non-economic. So let us look after economic activities first. So these are human activities undertaken to earn a living or satisfy human wants. To earn a living. If your father is working in an office, if your mother is working in an office, so they are getting a salary, and with that salary they provide for your household expenses. That means it is the main source of income for your family. So it is a means of livelihood. So economic activities are undertaken to earn a livelihood. So, and by earning a livelihood, we satisfy various wants. So the main object is to earn income and create wealth. The money earned is used to satisfy wants. For example, a teacher teaches in a school or college, a doctor attends patients in his clinic, shopkeeper sells goods to customers. So these are some of the examples of economic activities. Economic activities are concerned with the production, distribution and exchange of goods and services. So there are only two things that can be traded. Whenever you go to the market, you are ready to spend some money, and you spend money on what things? You spend money to purchase a product, or you spend money to take a service. We are not going to spend money for anything other than goods and services. All of you can remember that last time whenever you went to the market, you went to the market for what reason, for what purpose? Maybe you went to the market to purchase some product. There are various things that we purchased for our family, for our daily requirement. So you have went to the market either to purchase the product, or you have went to the market to avail some service. Maybe you went for a haircut, maybe you went for some servicing of your product. So there are various items that we use in our family. Sometimes they are not working properly, so we go out to the market and we avail the service of some technician. So whenever we are going to the market, we are either spending money to purchase a new article, or we are spending money to avail some service. So these things are produced, distributed and exchanged for money. So these activities create utilities and result in production of wealth. So economic activities are called occupations. So all these activities have utility. Utility means the want satisfying power. So whenever we purchase some product, that product is having the power to satisfy your requirement. Whenever you avail some service, that service is having the power to satisfy your requirement. So if you went to a salon, so you have gone there to avail some service, and that service has satisfied your demand, satisfied your requirement. So you went to the salon to take some service, and that service has satisfied you. You went to the market to purchase some product, and that product was having the power to satisfy your requirement. So this is known as utility. Utility means the want satisfying power of a commodity. So the economic activities have various features. Some of the features are that the motive is economic. That means they are exchanged for money. The main purpose behind economic activities is money. So they are undertaken to earn money. So if you also open a shop, so you will sell goods to your customers, and in return you will take money for it and acquire wealth. And when we continuously keep earning profits, after some point of time we create some wealth from that profit. So the main motive is to make economic gain. So the main motive is not to do some charity or some service. We are doing this for gaining something in monetary terms. So these activities are performed by human beings for earning livelihood. So this is the main motive of undertaking economic activities. And these activities are productive. That means they involve production, distribution and exchange of goods and services for satisfying human wants. So they are directly related with the creation of wealth. So commerce, accounts, economics, these subjects always deal with economic activities. They never deal with non-economic activities. And these activities are undertaken with the use of economic resources. That means we cannot undertake these activities in vacuum. We need some resources to do these activities, to perform these activities. For example, if you want to start a showroom, you cannot start a showroom unless you purchase a land or unless you purchase a shop. After you have purchased a shop, you will require so many things to start your business. You will need well laid out furniture, you will need staff, you will need products to be put in the showroom, you will need an electricity connection, and there are various other things also that you will require. You will require money to make the payments on a day-to-day basis. So there are various things that you will require, and without all these arrangements your business cannot start. So in order to perform economic activities, we need certain resources. And what are these resources? Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Land, you will obviously require land where you can set up your showroom or shop or factory or office, whatever. You will need staff, that is the labor. You will need money, that means you will have to invest money, that is known as capital. And you will need a person who can manage your business. That person is known as entrepreneur. Maybe you yourself can manage it, or you may hire a manager. But all said and done, you need a person to manage the business. So entrepreneur is the person who finally manages the business. So it can be you yourself, or you may hire somebody as a manager so that he looks after your business. So unless we have all these things, business cannot be started at all. So these are known as economic resources, because in order to use these resources, you have to spend money. You cannot get land for free, you cannot get labor for free, you cannot get capital for free, and you cannot get a manager also for free. So to avail these factors, to take the benefit of these factors, you have to spend money for it. So you have to purchase land, or you have to pay rent if you take a rented office. You have to pay salary to the staff. You have to take a loan from banks and pay interest on it. And if you hire a manager, you have to pay salary to the manager. So all these factors will need money to be spent, then only you can use them. That is why they are known as economic resources. Next, we have rational use. It means that these activities require proper allocation of scarce resources. Scarce resources means that the resources that we just now talked about, these resources are limited in supply. They are not available in unlimited quantity. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur, they are available in limited quantity. That is why these resources are known as scarce resources. And you have to use them very judiciously. You have to use them very carefully, so that the resources are not wasted, because these are very precious resources, very valuable resources. You cannot afford to waste these resources. So these resources require proper allocation. That means you have to use them properly so as to obtain maximum result, maximum output. So these activities involve optimum utilization of land, labor, capital, and other factors of production. So you have to use these resources in the best possible manner. Otherwise, these resources will be wasted and will be of no benefit to you. And you have to spend money, I told you. You have to spend money to get all these resources. So all your money will be wasted. So welfare of the society can be maximized when the best possible use of resources is made. So we all should take care that no resource is wasted. Every resource is utilized to the fullest. Because if we waste our resources, what will happen? It will be of no benefit to anyone. So no resource needs to be wasted. Now next point is economic growth. That these activities determine the level of economic development of a country and standard of living of its citizens. So these activities are undertaken in order to improve the level of standard. Because if you compare an unemployed person who has got no work, who has got no job, he has no income, nothing, and you compare that person with a person who is having a very big business, or he is employed somewhere, he is getting a salary every month. So a person who is employed, a person who is getting a regular income will have a better standard of living as compared to a person who is unemployed. So economic activities are undertaken in order to improve the economic condition, in order to improve the standard of living, and when the standard of living of the citizens is improved, the economic development of the country is ensured. So the country's development can only be ensured when the development of the citizens is ensured. So these economic activities help us to improve the level of economic development of a country. And these activities need to be legally valid. They are generally legally valid and they have to be legally valid. So as we said that economic activities are undertaken to earn some money or to earn some profit. So this does not mean that you all make a group and then go to a bank and do some bank robbery and earn some money and say that sir has said that economic activities are meant to earn some money, so we have went to the bank and robbed the bank and earned some money. No, this will be unlawful. So economic activities need to be lawful. Unlawful activities like gambling, black marketing, theft, dacoity, smuggling, they are opposed to public interest. Therefore, these activities cannot be called economic activities. So economic activities need to be legally valid and they should be socially desirable. So when they are legally valid, then only they can be desirable by the society. If something is illegal, something is unlawful, it cannot be desired by the society. Theft, dacoity, smuggling, black marketing, these things are not socially desirable. You as a customer also will not want that black marketing is done in the market. So you also don't want it. So these activities are not desirable. So economic activities should be socially desirable. They must be in accordance with the expectations and norms of the society. So whatever you do, whatever activity you perform, it should be socially acceptable. So these are some of the basic features, basic principles of economic activities. Now let us take a look at some of the examples of economic activities. You can read them. These are very simple examples. So through all these activities, we can see that the person is interested in earning some profit or creating some wealth. So goods produced by a manufacturer in the factory, distribution of goods by retailer, wholesaler, selling goods by retailer, transportation of goods by railway, roadways, airlines, ships, goods stored by a warehouse keeper, acceptance of deposits and lending of money by a banker, insurance business, advertising, publicity, clinic run by doctor, working of government officer, services of teacher in a school, college. So these are all activities which are concerned with earning some money. In simple terms, these activities are not concerned with some charity or social service. So whenever somebody is undertaking these activities, the person is not performing any charity or social service. Simple terms. So these are some of the examples of economic activities. So again, the same thing is written. These are the characteristics that we have already studied, and these are some of the examples. So you can once again read them. I will share this PDF file with all of you so that you can have a look at chapter number 1. Now coming to non-economic activities, as I told you earlier, they are undertaken for some social purpose or religious purpose, cultural, sentimental requirement, and are called non-economic. The activities is not to earn monetary gain or reward. People engage in non-economic activities for reasons of love, sympathy, religion, patriotism. For example, mother looks after her children, a student donates blood, an old man goes to temple daily, a rich man donates money to Prime Minister Relief Fund, a young man helps a blind girl cross the road. So all these activities are carried out only out of your love, compassion, or patriotism, or for some personal or mental satisfaction, psychological satisfaction. Many of us have donated to the PM Cares Fund. It was a special fund that was created during the COVID-19 crisis, and so many of us must have donated some money to PM Cares Fund. So it is an example of non-economic activity that we all have undertaken, because while you donate some money, you do not expect that the Prime Minister will send you some product in return, or Prime Minister will give you some service in return. So we have donated it so that the government can use this money to provide strength to its fight against the novel coronavirus. So this is an example of non-economic activity, and we have undertaken it just out of an act of charity and social help. So the object is that the object of any activity distinguishes between economic and non-economic activity. I already told you that the same activity can be economic also, same activity can be non-economic also. For example, I already gave you the example of a nurse. So the nurse is working in a hospital and she is getting paid for it, looking after the patient, and the same nurse is looking after her ill mother and she is not getting paid. That means the activity is same. She is working as a nurse, but at one place she is paid and at the other place she is not paid. For example, I teach in the school, so I get a salary. But if I teach my own son at home, then I am not paid for it. That means I am doing same work. I am teaching at school also and I am teaching at home also. But at one place I am paid for my teaching, at the other place I am not paid for my teaching. So same activity can be economic and non-economic at different intervals of time. Suppose your mother is working in a restaurant as a chef. So she is preparing meals for the customers and she is getting paid for it. But when your mother is preparing food for the family, she is not getting paid for it. So the work is same, that is preparing food. But at one place she is paid for it and at the other place she is not paid for it. So the same activity can be economic and non-economic depending on the purpose for which it has been undertaken. Preparation of food which is undertaken at a restaurant is for earning money, but preparation of food at home is not for earning money. It is for the love for the family, because your mother loves you so much that she is preparing the best dish that she can prepare for you. But when she is working at a restaurant, she is preparing according to the desires and wish of the customer and she is paid for it. So the primary objective is to earn livelihood and create wealth. On the other hand, the main objective of non-economic activity is to get some sort of social, cultural, religious and recreational satisfaction. The output of economic activity can be measured in terms of money, that means salary, fee, profit. But the result of non-economic activity cannot be measured in terms of money because you only get some personal satisfaction, and obviously you cannot measure how much amount of satisfaction you have got. So as I told you, the same activity can be economic and non-economic, and some examples are given here. So non-economic activities are undertaken due to the following considerations: love and affection, for example taking dinner with the family; personal satisfaction, meditating in a park; physical needs, morning walk by a person; religious obligation, praying in a temple. These are all non-economic activities. Patriotism, donating blood for injured army men. So these are some non-economic activities and money is not involved. So some differences between economic and non-economic activities are given, and I am sure now each one of you can easily understand them. So we have discussed the objective, earn a living, and non-economic activity to obtain some personal satisfaction. Expectation, we expect money in return. Money income is expected. But what is expected in non-economic activity? From non-economic activity, we do not expect money. Money is not expected. Next, relationship, directly related to income and wealth, and it is not related to income and wealth. Measurement, it can be measured in terms of money, it cannot be measured in terms of money. Logic, it is guided by rational considerations of cost and benefit. That means we rationally consider it. We consider all pros and cons before we undertake economic activity. But it is guided by sentiments and emotions without regard to gain or sacrifice. So before you perform a non-economic activity, you do not think of the outcome. You do not think about the profit that you may get. So when you are helping an old woman to cross the road, you don't think that once I help her to cross the road, what she will give me in return. So you don't expect all these things. So we are simply guided by sentiments and emotion. And next is resources. It involves proper use of resources, and optimum use of resources is not essential. We hardly think about it. And types or examples we have already discussed. So these types we will discuss in detail. So now we will focus our discussion only on economic activities. I told you that we don't talk about non-economic activities in commerce. The economic activities means the activities which are undertaken to earn some profit, money, or creation of wealth. So, in how many ways can you earn money? You can start your own business, you can join a profession, or you can work as an employee somewhere. So, in all the three ways, you can earn money. For example, a person running his own showroom, own business, own factory. So, it includes business activities which are meant to produce some goods and then earn some profits. So, there are three main activities which can give you profits or which can help you in earning money. So, you may think about any person who is earning money and he will fall under any one of these categories. You all go to the market and you see that there are so many showrooms. All of them are part of business. You go to a doctor to his clinic, so he is in the category of profession. You go to lawyers, they are professional people. Teachers are working as a professional. And there are so many people who work in a company, who are working under somebody. So in that case, they are working as employees and they are under an employment. So let us look at these three categories of economic activities one after the other. So first is business, very easy. Concerned with production and exchange of goods or services with the object of earning profits. So when you conduct business, what do you get? You get profits. So if somebody asks you that what is the reward that you get from business, so the reward is profits. So business is an economic activity because it is undertaken for earning money and producing wealth. So the person who is doing the business is known as businessman, and it creates various utilities. Utility means want satisfying power of a commodity. So business creates want satisfying power, and all our needs are fulfilled by various business organizations. So there are some examples of utility: form utility, place utility, time utility, possession utility. These are some of the utilities. Form utility means raw material is converted into finished product and it becomes more useful. Like raw cotton is not more useful to us, but a cotton piece of cloth, a piece of cloth made of cotton is more useful to us. So raw material is converted into finished goods and it becomes more useful. So this is known as form utility. Place utility means that goods are transported from the place of production to the place of consumption. Like if we talk about agricultural field, so there are various crops, there are various vegetables which are produced. So those vegetables and crops are not very useful if they are lying at the agricultural field. But the moment they are brought to the market, they are becoming more useful because so many customers come and purchase them. So people who require them will not go to the agricultural field. So the things which are lying on the field are not very useful. But once they come to the market, same thing becomes useful. So goods are stored for future use and it results in time utility. Next is time utility. Time utility means something is more useful at a particular point of time, but maybe the same thing is not useful right now. For example, winter garments are not very useful in summers, but they are produced in summers so that they can be sold in winters. So right now summers are going on. So it does not mean that all the companies who sell winter garments, they are closed. They are not closed. They are continuously producing goods so that the moment winter season comes, they can take out that stock of goods and sell it in the market. Because right now the time is not correct to sell those goods. But to produce those goods, there is no problem. We can produce them. We cannot sell them, but we can produce them. So winter garments are produced in summers, but they are sold in winters. So time utility is created so that we can store them properly, and whenever the product is required, we can sell it in the market. So these are some of the utilities which are created by business. So what are the utilities? Form utility, place utility, time utility, possession utility. Possession utility means when goods are sold to the customer, it becomes more useful to the customer. Suppose you go to a book depot. The book depot person is having commerce book. So the commerce book is not very useful to the book depot person. He will never study it. He will never read it. But the moment he sells it to you, it becomes more useful. So for you, the book was very useful. But for the shopkeeper, the book was not very useful. He has just purchased it to sell it and earn some money, that's it. So possession utility means that the moment ownership is changed, the thing becomes more useful. So the book has become more useful the moment you became the owner. But as long as the shopkeeper was the owner, the book was not very useful. So these are some of the utilities which are created by business organizations. And next is profession. Profession means an occupation. It involves application of specialized knowledge and skills. So to conduct a business, we do not need special knowledge or skills or some degree or diploma. But to enter a profession, we need some degree, diploma or some special knowledge. To become a doctor, you have to complete MBBS. To become a lawyer, you have to study LLB or you have to study in a national law university. So we have to pass a certain examination to be a part of a profession. Otherwise, you cannot enter that profession. To become a lecturer, you have to qualify the NET examination and various other examinations in the field of teaching. Otherwise, you cannot become a teacher. So to be a chartered accountant, you have to complete the chartered accountancy course. So there are various courses which have been designed so that people can pursue that course and enter that profession. That means to enter a profession, you need special knowledge. So the person who is engaged in a profession is known as a professional. They render personal services of a specialized nature. That means if you go to a chartered accountant, he cannot suggest you some medicine. To take a medicine, you need to go to a doctor. And doctor cannot assist you with chartered accountancy. So they have special knowledge related to their own field and they cannot help you in some other way. So the main features of profession are that it is a specialized body of knowledge. That means to be a member of a profession, you are supposed to undergo a proper course and you are required to learn this knowledge. And entry is restricted. That means if I do not complete that course, I cannot be a professional. So right now I am not a doctor because I have never completed MBBS. I am not a chartered accountant because I never completed chartered accountancy syllabus. So I cannot enter the profession of a doctor or a chartered accountant. So it requires formal education and training to become a professional. So you need to undergo MBBS, CA, LLB, and you have to take some training also before you can start working as a doctor or a chartered accountant or a lawyer. So you need education also and you need proper training also. And there are professional associations. So there are doctors who have associations. There are management people who have associations. So some of the examples of associations are given to you. Like for medical professions, we have the Medical Council of India. For law profession, we have the Bar Council of India. For accounting profession, we have the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. For company secretaries, we have the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. For cost accounting profession, ICWAI. Engineering, the Institute of Engineers. So these are some of the professional bodies which govern these professions. If somebody has to become an engineer, the person has to study according to the syllabus which is designed by the institutions of engineers, and he will be a member of this association. And a professional is not working to earn some profit. He is working to render some service and charge a fees. Generally, professionals charge a fees. So they are expected to emphasize service to their clients rather than economic gain. And they have a professional code of conduct. So many times you must have noticed that if doctors do not follow their code of conduct, their registration is cancelled. So they are supposed to conduct themselves in a particular manner. And in case they violate the conduct, they are subject to some legal action and their registration can be cancelled also. So the code is prescribed by the professional association of which he is a member. So every cost accountant has to follow the guidelines issued by ICWAI. And if they do something against the guidelines of ICWAI, then their registration can be cancelled, their membership can be cancelled. So they will no longer be a part of this profession. So they have to follow a particular code of conduct. But such type of code of conduct is not there for businessmen. And employment is quite simple. It is simply working under somebody as an employee for some remuneration, that means salary. So the person who engages others is known as an employer. The remuneration is known as wages or salary. The person who performs the work is known as employee. And the terms and conditions of employment are already decided in advance. There can be an oral agreement or written agreement between the employer and the employee. An employee is working under the guidance of the employer. The employer may be a government or a private firm. Like there are so many people who are working in government schools and colleges, and there are so many teachers who are working in private schools and colleges. So employer can be government also and private sector employee also. And employment includes all types of jobs in the government office and private enterprises. When a professionally qualified person works as an employee, he is also be in an employment. Like earlier we have said that there are so many professional people. Like doctors are professionals, but sometimes a doctor is working in a hospital also. So in this scenario, he is an employee. So when a doctor is having his own clinic, he is a professional. But when a doctor is working in a hospital, now he is an employee. If a chartered accountant is having his own chamber, then he is a professional. But if a chartered accountant is working under government or in a private company, then he is an employee. So if you are working independently, then you will be a professional. But if you are working under somebody, then you become an employee, whether you have completed a professional course or not. So the main features of employment are: person works for others, called employer. Employee provides personal service. There is an agreement and the terms and conditions are decided. The employee has to obey the order of the employer. No capital investment is required. We need not invest money. And the employee gets wages or salaries. And various examples are given: a teacher teaching in a school or college, engineer employed in municipal corporation of Delhi, person working in the plant manager or of a factory. So all these are examples of employment. And some difference is given between business, profession and employment. And I'm sure all of you can easily understand the difference between business, profession and employment, because we have already covered them individually. So now you can easily read them, and you can at a maximum prepare only 6 points. They will be sufficient. So just prepare 6 points of difference. So what is the difference between business, profession and employment? You can easily study them, and in case there is any doubt with any of the point, all of you can message me on the WhatsApp group, or you can comment on YouTube, so that your doubts can be cleared. So this way we have completed chapter number 1 of commerce. It was a very simple chapter, making us understand the basic meaning of economic and non-economic activities, and what activities form part of commerce and what activities do not form part of commerce. So the difference you can study from here. You can see a very simple table is given. It is quite easy to prepare. So any 6 points you can easily prepare. The difference between business, profession and employment. So I hope you have understood all these concepts, and it was a very simple chapter number 1 of commerce. You can pause the video wherever you want. You can rewind it and listen the explanation again, and make notes of chapter number 1 in a copy. So you will prepare 1 register for commerce and 1 register for accounts, and then make notes of chapter number 1. Whatever is written, you have to make notes of that. So I hope these things are clear to everyone, and any doubts are there, do message me on the group. Thank you so much for listening. Do like, share and subscribe. God bless you. Take care.